What's up, scholars? My name is Haley, otherwise known as the Fictional Scholar, and today we are going to be looking, as the title suggested, at the relationship and just the ship, quote-unquote ship, breakdown of Meruem and Komugi from HunterxHunter, and specifically in the Chimera Ant Arc. I always have a hard time saying Chimera Ant Arc for some reason. It just twists my tongue. But we are going to be looking about how this relationship not only changed these two characters, but actually impacted HunterxHunter as a whole, especially during the Chimera Ant Arc. I just psyched myself out. Did I say that right? Chimera Ant Arc. Yeah. Either way, oh gosh. So it goes without saying that we are going to be covering HunterxHunter and the Chimera Ant Arc. So if you haven't seen HunterxHunter or that arc, then if you don't want to spoil yourself, save this video until after you've watched that part of HunterxHunter, which I highly recommend. HunterxHunter is one of my favorite animes. It is such a great show, and the reason it got so highly ranked on my list of animes is because of just the fantastic storytelling and the Chimera Ant Arc in general. Just superb storytelling, especially with Meruem and Komugi, and that is what we're going to be breaking down, and I'm so excited to hop into it. If you want to see more of my videos, make sure you comment down below, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. That would be such a great support to me, and I thank y'all so much for just watching this video and interacting with me anyways. So without further ado, let's go right into the video. So this ship in particular, you have two very different characters, and they come together in this very fascinating way. So Meruem, as a character, he is the king over the ants. He is born this supreme ruler, and he has an amazing amount of power. He's ridiculously strong, powerful, and he's very ruthless when we first meet him. He is decapitating not only people of his own kind, but we see him killing children and things of that nature. Like, he just goes out on a spree, like a murder spree when we first meet him, and he leaves the nest for the ants and everything. He goes to find this kingdom to take over and make it his own. We're really led to believe that Meruem is nothing but a very ruthless and cold-blooded killer dictator. At first glance, there's nothing more to his character other than that. He was born a king, and that's how he's gonna rule. He doesn't really care about anything else. And then on the other hand, we have Komugi, and Komugi is just this very sweet, selfless character who she's so awkward in a sense, but she's also just very kind and doesn't really think too much of herself, but not in a way that's like self-deprecating, but it's she wants to find a way to make others more comfortable than like necessarily what she would make herself feel. And that goes to play like the way she plays Gungi for her family. She acknowledges the fact that because of her blindness, that Gungi is all she has, and if she were to lose as the breadwinner of her house, if she were to lose, she would become the biggest burden, and she doesn't want that for her family, which is why often her stakes for losing a game of Gungi is her life. And these two very, very different characters contrast each other so perfectly, because Meruem, as someone as ruthless and quick-tempered as he was, needed a person like Komugi, someone who's soft-hearted, who isn't quick to anger, who likes to take her time to explain things, is very respectful, very humble, all these different things. He needed someone like that, not just to show him a different side of humanity, but to also teach him a lot about what humanity and morality is all about. And for Komugi, she needed, in a sense, she needed someone like Meruem, someone who is that strong, tough, and very no-nonsense kind of person to really just be like, say what's on your mind, don't hold back, tell me what you're thinking, that kind of thing, to get her to express herself and say what's on her mind and what she's really thinking. And she does so without worry, because Meruem's the type of person, he's asked for this, so he's going to listen to this just as he's requested. And Komugi's able to recognize it, so she's able to speak to this king, or as she thinks is the supreme leader, without much fear of retribution, because she is that kind of naive of a girl who would be like, well, he's asked me for this, I'm going to give this to him, this explanation to him. So it sets up a really cool dynamic between these two very, very different characters. It is actually just, it's so beautiful to see, because when you first watch HunterxHunter, there are several things about the Chimera Ant arc that you don't expect at all, just because of like the way the writing is, everything like that. I will be doing a separate storytelling analysis over the Chimera Ant arc later on in December, so next month. Just the storytelling in general makes things not as it seems, and things turn out not like you'd expect it to. But particularly in the case with Meruem and Komugi, nobody knows, and the narrator, MVP of the arc, the narrator says as soon as Komugi walks in for this first time that the king has no idea the impact this girl is going to have on his life. And that's so true, because no one would expect such a timid and just kind of timid and goofy girl like Komugi to have such, not just a lasting impact on the king, but help change his entire mindset about not just her, but humanity as a whole. So basically, their story, when they first meet, again, Meruem is trying to conquer everything at this point. He wants to be the master, the ruler, the king of everything. So he summons all these professional master players of different games, everything like this, like Go, chess, Shogi. I think Shogi was on there too. But he summons all these different players because he wants to be the supreme leader of everything. That is where we meet Komugi, who is the master of Gungi. And of course, when we first meet Komugi, you know, her little snot nose, and she's blind, so it's like, this girl, like, she's the master of Gungi, okay. But the more we go, and as she opens her eyes to play, like, even the king is like, whoa, something's changed. And as they play, you can slowly see that Meruem starts to gain this admiration and respect, but also this intrigue into I almost said Momoji. I've been watching too much Fruits Basket. You see the king get this interest in Komugi, where he is wanting to ask these questions of her. He wants to know her opinion, and he actually is willing to sit and listen to her, which he's never done to anybody. He doesn't do to the royal guards or any other ant, especially not any other human for that matter. We see him listen to Komugi like he never has listened to anybody. And not only that, Komugi is just a source of light. She's very bright, very positive. Even though sometimes she's scared, she is still so positive and just happy about her situation, and honored that she's been summoned to play Gungi against the supreme leader. She feels it as a huge honor, and it's very humbling for her. The contrast is already at work, and for her to be able to talk about Gungi and give her opinions on things like Meruem has asked gives her even more joy. That meeting and their first few conversations as he's listening, and then slowly we see the king start breaking down his absolutes, where there will be no break, you will not go, you will not go to sleep, you cannot leave. All these absolutes that he set out for everybody else slowly start to crumble away with Komugi. He lets her go rest because he uses the excuse of, well, if it's a win while she's not at her best, then it doesn't really count. Which, in a sense, it was true. He wanted to win fair and square. But in the other sense, this interest and intrigue in Komugi had him wanting to give her that rest and wanted her to be in the best shape to play against him. And he even admits, he's like, I find this enjoyable. He's starting to enjoy himself just playing a game with her. One of the biggest moments of this change with them is when he tries to get the upper hand on her to win and threatens to take her arm if she were to lose Komugi. Komugi surprises him by saying, can I bet what I usually do? And he's like, what do you usually bet? And when she says my life, that's when he is shocked, because he's like, oh, she has no desire, she has no fear, she's just simply here playing a game she loves. There's no ulterior motives for her, nothing of the sort. And that's when he listens to her explanation about her family life and why she plays Komugi and why she bets her life. And of course, he's impressed by her and says, he's like, I never even considered you might have asked for my life. Of course, we know Komugi isn't the type of girl who would ever ask something like that. And Meruem gives his penance, per se, by ripping off his own arm, which startles Poof more, and Poof goes into like this frenzy of, oh my gosh, you have to heal your arm. And Meruem again starts breaking these absolutes that he's setting, because he told Komugi there will be no more breaks. After he ripped off his arm, they were trying to get him to heal his arm. Meruem tells Poof, he says, I'm the one who said there won't be another break. Do you want me to be a liar and embarrass myself again? And then as soon as Komugi refuses to play until Meruem starts healing his arm, that's when Meruem actually listens. Even as much as he doesn't want to, she's like, if you want to kill me in Komugi. First of all, just Komugi is just so brave. Komugi's braver than I could ever be, because that was a power move by her without her even realizing it was a power move. That made Meruem question himself again, and he relents these absolutes that he normally goes by. And later on, they're playing more and more, and he's finding it more enjoyable, and he wants to learn more about Komugi, to the point where he asks what her name is. Because before, he didn't really care to know. He didn't care to know her on that type of personal level. And then even as he's asking, he's like, why? Why am I asking her this? Why do I want to know so badly? And he asks Komugi's name, and she tells him. And when she asks for his name, Meruem at this point doesn't know what his name is, because he didn't stick around to hear what his mother was going to name him. And this lack of a name plays such an important role, not just for Meruem and Komugi, but for the rest of the arc afterwards, because him knowing his name is like this sense of identity that he's missing and he's wanting to find, and he finds some of that in Komugi, who is the first person he actually has like this sort of almost an equal relationship with. And so this search for his identity on who he is, this inner turmoil, really starts to manifest itself as soon as Komugi asks the question, and he really starts fighting against it. He's like, well, who am I? I'm a king, yes, but king is a title. What is my name? Who am I as a being, a living being? I was gonna say human, but he's not a human. He's an ant, technically. You know, like, who is he as a being, a living being? And afterwards, you know, he lets Komugi go rest again, and he questions the royal guards. He's like, what is my name? You all have names, so what is my name? And of course the royal guards give their retrospective answers, and it's still not satisfying for Meruem, and he's starting to really think about what strength is, what identity is, because he's seen Komugi. Well, Komugi technically asked him for a break, and he approved her request, which again is new for Meruem. He's starting to learn about these different types of strengths and these different types of identities. It starts to manifest in his mind. Of course, at first, he doesn't quite get the point, and he's just like, well, I can kill whoever I want to kill. I am king. Missed the mark on that one. But he's just like, that's right, I'm a king. I don't need some woman around. I don't need Komugi here. I could just go and kill her. So that's what he sets off to do. He's just like, I don't need her here anymore. And it's actually the way I think of it when I watched it, is he was wanting to get rid of her because she was starting to make him question all these things, and it made him uncomfortable because he's never had to think about that before. He never had to think about who he was. He never had to think about what he's done, the actions he's made, and Komugi's existence, her being there, her talking to him, her asking what his name is, has started to change everything that he's known. Slowly but surely is changing it, and he doesn't like that at first. It rattles him in a way that he doesn't expect. So as he's going to kill Komugi, of course, that's when the eagle is attacking her, and any thought of killing her just, it's gone. And he saves Komugi from the eagle, and he immediately is just like, why did you not call out for help? Like, why did you not say something? Like, we were nearby, we could have helped you. And of course, Komugi, the sweetheart that she is just like, I didn't want to be a burden to you. She was like, I didn't want to trouble anybody. Meruem's like holding her hands, and he's like, you're injured here and here, and he's holding her, and that's when he said, you're not a burden. You're an important guest. My heart. He's like, no, you're an important guest. You're never a burden. And of course this makes Komugi start crying, and Meruem's just like, what? Why are you crying? Because he doesn't understand. When Komugi is like, nobody's ever been so kind to me, you know, that just shocks Meruem, and he's just looking at her while she's crying. He's like, what is this creature? Like, what do I want to do with her? It really makes him think even more about this relationship that he has with this human girl. Afterwards, he becomes so protective over Komugi, where he's wanting Pito to focus her in around Komugi so that she doesn't get hurt again, or that nobody comes to the second floor, because he doesn't want anybody near Komugi. He wants her to be safe and protected. He doesn't want anything happening to her, which again just speaks volumes about this change that Komugi is having on the king without him fully realizing it. And then of course the raid happens, and Zeno lets off the dragon dive as he and Netero are coming in, or, you know, storming down on the dragon itself. And one of those spears pierces Komugi, and when we see them again, Meruem is holding Komugi in his arms. His face is just blacked out because you can just tell there's so many emotions. Like when Pito is coming in and she feels his aura, and Netero and Zeno, they feel his aura, and it just freezes them. But you can tell this rage that he's feeling is getting suppressed inside of himself. He's actually, instead of lashing out with this rage and anger of Komugi getting hurt, he is able to control it and think rationally through it, which I don't think he would have done before. That moment has so many layers to it when he's holding Komugi. There's a lot going on in that moment with Pito and Zeno and Netero. Like, there's so much going on in just that moment, because once the raid actually happens, just like complete chaos, and there's so many different variables all over the place. Even Netero and Zeno are able to say, or are able to keep themselves at a distance and watch with respect as Meruem is holding Komugi in his arms after he's asked Pito to heal her. He's holding his arms, and they recognize it as the act of love, an act of love for one's life. And Meruem very carefully places Komugi on the ground. He wipes away the blood from her face. He like places her in a very comfortable position. And then instead of immediately starting to fight where Komugi could possibly get injured again or something could happen, he is the one who turns to the people who have just wrecked the place that he's living in and hurt someone he dearly cares about. He goes to them and says, I know you want to fight somewhere else. I think it's wise if we go elsewhere. The amount of growth Meruem has in such a short time is immaculate. It is fantastic. And I think 95% of it is because of Komugi. I don't think I'm wrong about that. If I am, let me know down in the comments. What do y'all think about that? And of course, everything in that arc goes crazy. Meruem dies and is brought back to life. Komugi is healed by Pito and then taken captive in a sense by Gon and Killua. And all of this, and poor Komugi, she had no idea what was going on, and she ends up being taken to a safe place by Palm. When Meruem is revived for the first time, he's missing his memories about Komugi, and it bothers him so much because he knows he's missing something important. He knows his memories aren't completely back, and something very dear to him is gone, and it's driving him crazy. And he knows that Poof is lying to him. He knows something is going on. And with every little piece, like the little Gungi piece that he sees just randomly, it triggers his memory, and but he can't fully remember Komugi. He's just like, I know I was playing against someone and I enjoyed this. Then he remembers Pito, and as it goes, and then Welfin is the one who says Komugi's name, and all of his memories just snap. And it's such a beautiful scene. You have this scene where Meruem learns of his fate, that yes, he might have been brought back to life, but the bomb poisoned him, so he is going to die. Even in those last moments, all he can think about is getting to Komugi, which... And when he goes to confront Palm, and you know, Palm knows his fate, he knows his fate, and he's just asking at this point, he's like, I'm not gonna fight you, we both know that's not possible, all I'm asking is that I can be with Komugi, that's all I want. And of course, Palm, at the time, she's stubborn, she's like, no, that's not gonna happen. And it gets to the point where Meruem, this great king who is so totally overpowered, so powerful, ends up taking a knee and is about to basically plead to Palm just to see Komugi, just to get to Komugi. And it's such a huge moment, because when you first are introduced to Meruem, you would have never imagined him bowing to anybody, and yet and he's bowing, he's taking a knee for Palm just because she holds essentially the one power that he doesn't have, which is Komugi. She knows where Komugi is, and that's all he wants. And of course, Palm stops him because she's half ant, half human, so she knows the importance of Meruem to the race, but she is also fighting that human instinct of not wanting to hand Komugi over. So that, you know, that's her own struggle. Finally tells Meruem where Komugi is, and he's just like, whatever your conditions are, that's fine. Whatever it takes to get me to Komugi, I will do it. And when he gets to Komugi, you know, she's sleeping, dreaming of Gungi, and you see the most precious smile from Meruem, and he's just like, wake up Komugi, it's time to play. And their fate is so tragic, because it's at that point you don't want anything to happen to Meruem, and you don't want anything to happen to Komugi, and they're sitting here playing their final games of Gungi, and you know that, at least at this point, you know that Meruem's gonna die, and it's just this impending dread. I think a lot of people felt it, like just this impending dread of watching these final moments pass between them. Meruem is finally able to tell Komugi what his name is. And of course she gets all flustered. She's like, oh, I'm Komugi, it's nice to know you. Then Meruem hits us. He's just like, oh, I know. And then he's like, no, that's not right. I didn't know what truly mattered. The character arc for Meruem especially just blows my mind. This tyrannical dictator of a king that came about to basically destroy all humanity, to use them as food, and he killed whoever he wanted, whether it be an ant or a human. He didn't care. He would kill anybody who got in his way or disobeyed him. And seeing that change, a complete 180, to where not only he has respect for humans as a whole, and tries to figure out a way. I mean, in his mind, he's trying to figure out a way to have them, you know, live in their own special little section and everything like that. But not just that, but for him to want to spend his final moments with a human girl that he grew this kind of equal relationship with. Not only just have respect for her, but to truly care for her and know that what really mattered was this humanity, this relationship is what truly matters. Their last moments are absolutely heartbreaking. Meruem tells Komugi that he's been poisoned, that he's gonna die, but he tells her that the poison is contagious. So even though he wanted to spend his last moments with her, he lets her know that if you he's like, if you stay around me too long, you're gonna die too. And Komugi, the sweet, beautiful girl that she is, willingly stays and says, I believe I was born to be here for this day. I was born for this moment. Both of them are thinking the same thing, and she's like, I may not be worthy, but please let me join you. It's so heartbreaking to watch, like, Meruem asking, like, Komugi, are you there? Like, are you still there? Just over and over, and Komugi always keeps that bright positivity of, like, yes, I'm right here, I'm not going anywhere. And she never lets her voice falter. It always sounds like she just still has that smile on her face. And then it ends, you know, he's saying, I'm feeling a little tired. Will you hold my hand? I don't think I've seen anybody watch that and not cry at least a little bit. But oh my goodness, just the way they have that last moment set up, and where Komugi is right there beside Meruem, and she's able to feel his face for the first time, realizing that he's not exactly a human, but she still stays by his side. Like, the fact that he's not human changes nothing to her. He is still a man she loves and respects with her entire being. In the last moment, she holds his hand, and as Meruem is dying, she says goodnight. She says, goodnight, Meruem. I'll be joining you soon. Now, the way that this relationship changes Meruem is that Meruem is seen as this monster, and he becomes humanized in a way. He gains his humanity through the course of this arc due to Komugi. Her personality, the way she interacts with him, and everything like that, like, she brings about his humanity, and she makes him feel, even if it's a little, she makes him feel love for the first time in a sense, and he's able to slowly learn what love is, what respect is, admiration, everything like that, these positive emotions that come along with humanity. It's so beautiful to see, and Komugi is able to find some companionship and the sense of equality with this person who's playing with her and respects her and listens to her. A relationship that truly, like, blossoms over the course of their interactions. Even though they technically haven't known each other that long, the impact they have on each other because of the way they've interacted with each other, because of the circumstances of why they interacted with each other, the total impact of the characters, it changes everything. Not just about it changes everything about Meruem, but it changes how the arc goes, because if Meruem hadn't already been changing, he would have killed Netero and Zeno in a heartbeat. Just without care. He wouldn't have even tried to be considerate to any of the humans. He would have just continued to go on this tyrannical path. But because Komugi has slowly started to change his mind about humans, has slowly started to change the way he saw strength and his own identity and wanting to know who he was, all of those pieces started to fall into place, and by the time you got to the end of his life, you didn't want him to die because of how much he had changed and how much he grew. over that course of time, you're just like, no, I don't want him to die. This mass murderer, essentially this mass murderer who is going around killing people at the beginning of the arc, at the end of it, you're like, I don't want him to die. And majority of that is because of Komugi's influence on him. The reason I believe that Komugi and Meruem's death just absolutely broke us, or broke me, but I've seen a lot of people, like, the reason it just breaks everybody's hearts when they see that is because of one Meruem's change, which is like the big majority of it, but two, it's also just Komugi's just her quiet selflessness, because she could have left Meruem alone to die by himself, and yet she willingly stays, knowing her fate if she does stay, and she willingly stays next to him the entire time without a single complaint. She is smiling the entire time. The death of both of these characters just really shakes HunterxHunter as a whole, because it changes the way you view the antagonist, and not just Meruem, but it also changes the way you view like Pito and Yuppie and maybe Poof. At least for Poof, you can say that he was always loyal to the king, and that's all he wanted, was to express his loyalty. But the way Komugi is slowly impacted, like, everything just kind of fits into place because of her existing as that third party, as Killua said. And it breaks your heart that much more when this third party, who has had such a huge impact on the ones around her, ends up dying the same fate as the ones she's helped. It's a tragic loss. Komugi's death is just as significant as any other in that arc. Maybe even more so. And especially with them choosing to die together. I think that is the biggest part of it, is that Meruem in that moment was a little selfish, because even though he knew the poison was contagious, all he wanted to do was be with Komugi. And then Komugi chooses to stay by the king. It's so good. It's so well done, because it makes sense. It's not something that is completely unexpected, because of the way they not only built up the relationship between these two, but because of their characters. If Komugi's character had been just 1% different, then, you know, maybe she wouldn't have made that choice to stay with him. Maybe she would have been scared, or felt like maybe she was like, oh, well, now I have to stay with him, or something like that. But no, because Komugi is who she is, that choice to stay with him is nothing but an act of selfless love. And she isn't upset, she is smiling and just completely wants to be there with him in that moment, and he wants to be in that moment with her. Their relationship is so well put together, and I absolutely love it. You can say it's a ship because people ship them together, obviously, but I think their relationship is so much more than just a romantic love or anything like that, because it's such a deep and meaningful relationship that they have, like, just pure. Like, their relationship is so pure from start to finish. Like, of course, at the beginning, Meruem was only trying to beat her to gain that title and then kill her off like he did the others. That slowly started to change, and once that change started, it never stopped. He was a goner. As soon, the second he started changing those absolutes for Komugi, he was a goner. Their relationships impact the significance it holds over HunterxHunter. It changes the way you see not just the antagonist, but the protagonist as well. And I will be covering this in like the storytelling analysis, but a lot of people have made the parallel, while Meruem is becoming more, this monster is becoming more humanized and more of a loving creature. Gon, on the other hand, is slowly becoming more and more like a monster. So like, it sets up for those two parallels, both with their foils and everything like that. it sets up for those parallels, and it also, because of their relationship, because of their meeting, it changes the way the arc would have ended, in my personal opinion. Because if Komugi hadn't have been there, I don't think the humans would have had victory. I truly, truly don't. Y'all let me know what y'all think down in the comments, because I truly believe that Komugi's influence had an impact on every single aspect of the arc as soon as she was introduced. Like, from her introduction to the end of the arc, it just completely changed everything about it. But that is my kind of breakdown of Komugi and Meruem, their story, and just the significance that they hold over HunterxHunter. Honestly, the Chimera Ant arc is my favorite arc. Even though some of my favorite characters are missing in that arc, it's still my favorite because of the storytelling, and mostly because of Meruem and Komugi. Like, they sold that arc for me, to be completely honest. I love it so much. It's just beautiful storytelling. It's so well written. There's no huge plot holes in there. There's nothing that seems out of place with their characters, like no big changes in their personality. Like, Meruem didn't just jump to a new personality and like completely flip a switch on the spot and become someone different. No, you could see the gradual changes over time, and that's what made it so believable, so realistic, and just so pure to see these two existing and having this influence on each other. But I hope you like this analysis. I mean, I still get really sad every time I watch it. I cry every time I watch it. Let me know what your thoughts are on Komugi and Meruem, both as characters and as on their influence through the Chimera Ant arc, what y'all's thoughts are on it. Be sure you are looking out for the HunterxHunter storytelling analysis. That'll be in December. It'll probably end up being a two-parter just because there's so much to cover in the Chimera Ant arc, and I talk enough as it is, so it'll probably be 2 parts. I'll have the second part to the Zutara video out soon, so that'll be fun too. So be on the lookout for that. And since the year's wrapping up, I have a lot of fun videos planned. I'm going to be trying to get some more stuff going on this channel as it's growing. But yeah, I hope y'all have enjoyed this video. It was so much fun to film, and I really just love HunterxHunter. It's one of my top 3 favorite animes of all time. So make sure you like and subscribe and leave a comment down on this video if you've enjoyed it. Make sure you follow me on all my socials, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, to keep up with what I'm doing. If you want to support me and my mom's small Etsy business, I will leave a link in the description to our Etsy shop. We have little paintings, like you can kind of see. I painted that one back there. We have paintings, and she crochets. All of our stuff will be linked in Etsy down below, so if y'all want to support us on that, I would totally appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope y'all have a wonderful, wonderful week. Bye!